topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask Good Questions podcast, broadcasting live every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on W4CY Radio at W4CY.com. This week and every week, we will reach for a higher purpose in money and life, as well as a focus on health and wellness. Now, let's join your host, Benita Bell Anderson, as together we start with Asking Good Questions.
Welcome to the Ask Good Questions podcast. I'm your host, Benita Bell Anderson, and today we're talking about real estate as part of a retirement investment strategy, okay? So the question isn't just should you do it, but it's how to do it without making any mistakes. We don't want to do that. So my guest today comes from the other side of the world. He's helped 100 plus investors do exactly that, not make costly mistakes. And he is actually in New Zealand. I would like to invite Hadley Nightingale to the podcast stage.
Hey, Benita, thanks for having me. Good morning, good evening, where you are.
Yeah. I know. I was a little bit, when we first talked, I was a little bit worried about, because I think you're 22 hours ahead of me. Yeah.
So it's, the next day. Yeah.
So it was like, whew. So, okay. Well, great. All the technology lined up. So let me tell you a little bit about this boy. He's just a few years younger than me. His name is Hadley Nightingale. He's the CEO of New Zealand Property Buyers, which was founded in 2020. Great year to found a company, Hadley.
Perfect year to start things, right? Couldn't have lined it up.
So in just 5 plus years, he has grown from a 2-person operation to a team of 13. Is that still correct? 13?
Yeah, still correct. Yeah.
He's helped over 100 clients invest smarter across New Zealand, but get this, Southeast Asia. Interesting. But what makes him different is not only the results, but how he got there. So I want to find, Hadley, you drove road trains. What's a road train?
Road train is a truck with 3 or 4 trailers in Australia. I can only talk in metric tons rather than imperial. So they weigh somewhere between 120 and 170 ton.
Wow.
Which is going down the road at 100 k's an hour.
So I guess we would say drive truck is what Americans.
Yeah. With 4 trailers rather than 1.
Wow, is that legal?
Yeah. It's a big thing. But mind you, like we're in the middle of nowhere doing it. It's not the middle of region, like not the middle of a city.
So he's also worked mines in Western Australia. He spent 7 years in the family court system, building one of New Zealand's most respected buyers agencies. And he learned property investing the hard way, which I'm sad to say I've learned a lot of things the hard way as well. But basically what that means is that his clients don't have to. So welcome to Ask Good Questions, Hadley. Thanks,
Benita. Looking forward to the conversation today.
So you didn't come from finance, obviously, right? I mean, you drove truck, you worked mines, and how in the world did you end up in real estate?
Yeah, I suppose when I left school, I was going to become a farmer, and I went farming for a couple of years, and it was around the 07, 08, or 06, 07 period, and then. At the time, everyone was talking about, hey, look, the market's as high as it's ever been. It's not going to get any higher. They're not producing any more land. Get in now. If you don't get in, you'll never get in. Which, now that I've been through a couple of cycles, it happens every cycle. just before things tend to peak. And so that was what I got sucked into at the time. And at the time, the banks were lending huge amounts of money as well. If you could fog a mirror, they'd give you a loan. And so got myself caught up there, and that's how I ended up in the road train side of things. But at the same time, was going, people always make money in real estate. I must have just done it the wrong way the first time around. So let's go and find someone that can help me. And that's sort of the short story of how I ended up there.
Well, you've said something that I've also said too, and that's no one's coming to save me.
Yeah.
And so what was the moment? Think back. When was it that you knew that was crystal clear for you?
That was probably only 3 or 4 years ago. So, I mean, like the mining and the road trains thing happened because of the farming decision that I'd made. Then 2019, I split with my partner at the time, had an 8-month-old daughter. And then that's still an ongoing through the family courts at the moment. But it really got to a point where I went, well, hey, look, I'm the only person that's been here the whole time through this. So I'm the only person that can get me out of this. I was part of this relationship, so I'm probably 50% to blame. And so how do I reflect on that myself? And then how do I make myself better to go in and do the things that I can control, and the stuff that I can't, I've just got to leave to the side and let that run out. And I think once I sort of thought about that, and a big part of that was also my now wife going, well, look, we can keep dwelling all this stuff, or we can move on. We've got a choice to make, which was extremely difficult at the time. But now looking back, was the simple things to do that I should have done years prior. But you don't know what you don't know.
Right. Yeah, I learned a long time ago that I'm 100% responsible for my life.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to really wrap myself around that, that I couldn't blame anybody else. And so,
I mean, the pity parties and the blaming other people is the easy part, right? Because it can always be everyone else's fault, and everyone else, why me, poor me, this shouldn't have happened to me. And the victim mentality is rife, and it's the easy way out, rather than, as you say, hey, look, it's me. I'm 100% responsible for the place I've landed.
Right. So, what do you think it was what was the personal struggle that that you realized, oh shoot, I'm doing this wrong? What was it that you think that was the quote unquote wrong way to do things?
From the real estate perspective?
Yeah.
So, I mean, basically, when I figured out that my philosophy had turned from buy some land, sit on it, and eventually it'll all work itself out, to interest rates went through the roof. It got harder to get money. Job market tightened up, and I had to go to Australia, and my philosophy became, if I can. At the time in New Zealand, I was earning $13 an hour, which was reasonable money. But I could go to Australia and earn 20 doing the same thing. So I thought, right, I've struck it. I've nearly doubled my income by shifting countries. So now all I need to do is stay awake for as long as I possibly can, and drive for as long as I can, because the longer I drive for, the more money I make, and in that way, that's going to get me out of the situation I'm in. But then I pretty quickly worked out that you can only do that for so long before your body says to you, hey, look, this isn't smart. And I realized I was the only person that I knew that had real estate that was doing what I was doing. So there's if I'm the minority, there's got to be a better way to do this than the people I know. So how do I get myself around some people that are going to show me how to do things a better way, rather than just sticking to the blueprint that I've currently got.
Right. Well, there might be somebody that's thinking, what is she doing talking to somebody that's in New Zealand? And basically, what when we originally met was like, well, we're talking about principles. It doesn't matter where you live in the world. These principles that we're going to talk about today are universal and apply to no matter where you're investing, right?
Yeah.
So let's get in a little bit to if real estate is right for retirees. So let's think of somebody that might be 60 plus and they already have a nest egg built. And is it too late to add real estate to their portfolio? What do you think?
I think it gets to a point where you've got to be really careful about what you're buying. That if you are going to go and do this in your 60s, that the real estate's not liquid like the share market. The stock market, you want to go and buy Nvidia shares, you go and buy them. You don't like what's happening, you push sell, you get out of the market. The problem with real estate is that once you're in, you're generally in for a long period of time. If you need to get out, you're looking at sort of 90 to about 120 days. If everything just went snap of the fingers, listed the house today, got it on the market, sold the next day, you're looking at like a 3 to 4 month turnaround if you need your cash, and then it's a guess as to what that's going to be. So if you've got some money that you are going to put into it, you just need to be really selective about what you're buying, and you also need to make sure that you're not leveraging yourself, to a point where it's dangerous.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, leverage is great until you get yourself to a point where you're underwater, and it's not quite so fun there.
Well, what would you say? Well, I think maybe that answers the question of what makes real estate different from stocks and bonds. Is basically you might be stuck, and you don't want to have like a fire sale.
No, so, exactly.
If I was advising someone, I would just say have this be part of a total perspective that you're doing.
Yeah, you don't want all your eggs in one basket. You don't want it to turn into a fire sale. I think that the key part with it is like boring tends to make you money. Sexy tends to cost you a small fortune. And that I think anyone that's selling you the best deal in the world, and this is how amazing it's going to be, and here's all the things that you're going to make from it, the people that are selling it to you generally are the ones that make the money, not you. Like it's happened here with off the plan developments, likely happens in the States as well, where developers tell people about how phenomenal something's going to be. You get excited about it, you buy it, and then you find out that it's not as good as what they said it was. There's a slight change in the market. You're waiting 2, 3, 4, 5 years for something to be built, so your money's tied up for that period of time. And then the end result's not as good as what was promised at the start.
What do you think? How much capital should somebody realistically have? If they're saying, "Oh, I've got X amount of dollars that I think I want to diversify into real estate."
It's going to depend market to market as to where you are. I think if you are going to get into real estate as part of your portfolio and where you are, you want to be looking at, and you're close to that retirement age, you want it leveraged as low as you possibly can. It'll make it hard for the bank to lend you money around that age unless you've got really good income, really good balance sheet. But secondly, it's more so around if you can keep your leverage down so you're cash flow positive as you can possibly get it, then you're getting a return for your money, and it takes it out of that wait and hope part of it too. So as you get onto the retirement side of things, cash flow becomes really important, and the equity less so. But when you're younger, the equity is where you grow your wealth, and though that reverses over time.
So let's chat a little bit about like buying property to live in versus buying it as an investment. So one of the ways that I think I've seen work well in the past is like a duplex.
Yeah.
And especially for somebody that's in the retirement years, maybe they're downsizing, right?
Yeah.
And so you'd be there, you'd be able to keep tabs on it, you'd be able to know exactly who's there and what's going on. What do you think the difference is between, having something that you're living in versus just a pure investment?
Well, it depends on income level. So like for me in the house that I'm in now, I live here 4 days a fortnight, just situation with my daughter, but we've got an attached unit that's rented out, and that attached unit covers the mortgage for most of the property. So if you're in a situation where you've got some money, you own a property, you can put a secondary dwelling on there, and you can rent your main house out. Then I think it's a great option. Whatever you can do to supplement that income as you get to that retirement age, then the better. I think one of the issues that people have is that if they're downsizing from one house to another and they think they'll keep the house they've just left as a rental, and then go and buy the downsizer is also a risk that you need to look at, because generally your owner-occupied that you've been in for a number of years has got next to no debt on it. And then you go and you buy the second house, but your second house has got all the debt that's non-deductible. And you're left with a rental property that's got no debt on it that doesn't make things tax efficient. So that's the other thing to bear in mind too. If it is a case of, look, we're going to downsize, but we're going to leave this one as a rental, you're better off to go and downsize, sell the house, buy your second one. And then if you've got capital left over that you want to deploy back to the investment side of things, then go and use the equity in your owner-occupied house to then go and purchase a specific purpose-built investment property, not your old owner-occupied because you love to live in there.
Yeah. Well, the opportunity can be very real, but the risks can also be very real. And I had a really traumatic experience in 2008 where I found out that I had not. One of the reasons this podcast is called Ask Good Questions is because I had not known the questions that I should have asked at that point. Yeah. So let's talk about what can go wrong. And, because I think in most cases, that's what people are going to want to hear so that they can avoid it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
so
I think
what's the biggest expensive mistake that you think people make?
Not asking good. The name of the podcast. Not asking good questions. Not asking the right people. And I think when it comes to real estate, people tend to take advice from their neighbors, from their work colleagues, from their family, from their drunk relatives at barbecues, but they won't go and get professional advice around real estate. But if we have like a legal problem, if we have an accounting problem, we generally tend to go and talk to a lawyer, or if someone comes to sue us, we go and we talk to the lawyer to go, hey, how do I get out of this? We have a tax problem, we go and talk to the accountant about, hey, what can I do here about my tax issue? We have a real estate problem, or we're going to go and get some real estate, and we go and talk to the neighbor about it. And the chances are the neighbor hasn't bought anything in 10, 15, 20 years, if at all. Most of the work colleagues are in much the same boat, but I think because everyone lives in a house, everyone's got an opinion on the real estate market, what it should and shouldn't do. And so I think that's the key bit is just getting some really good advice from people.
Do you see people trusting the seller's agent, the buyer trusting the seller's agent?
Oh, way too much. That's probably the second part of this, is that people go to buy a house and the selling agent says to them, oh, hey, have you been looking for long? Yeah, I've been looking for the last month or two. Oh, awesome. Have you got pre-approval? Have you got a budget? Yeah. We're pre-approved up to $900,000. Oh, okay, cool. What do you think of this house? Yeah, it's pretty good. I think what we're going to do is we're going to renovate this and we're going to do this and we might subdivide the back of it. And then we're probably going to sell it in 3 or 4 months and try and flip it. And the agent goes, okay, yep, cool, thank you. And then you go and offer them $700,000 for the house. And they go back and they talk to the vendor and go, well, hey, Mr. Vendor, they've got another $200,000 up their sleeve. These are the things that they're going to do. I've told another buyer what these guys are going to do. So we've also got someone else that's interested now as well. So what we'll do is we'll just hold off their offer for a couple of days. I'll get these guys to put an offer in too. We'll generate a bit of competition, and then we'll get heaps more for the house than what we would have. And that's really the biggest thing, is pretending they're your friend, or thinking they're your friend and they're there to help you. I suppose it's a little bit like Ronald Reagan when he said the most dangerous words are "we're from the government and we're here to help." Is a little bit like real estate agent, where I'm a selling agent and I'm here to help you. Yeah. Similar concept.
Well, so basically what you're saying is don't say too much.
No, no. Tight lips. Look at the house, get an idea of what you think. Agent asks you what you think the property's worth. I'm not sure at the moment. I don't know. What do you think you'd offer? Look, I'm not too sure. I just need to have a look at what else has been sold recently, and if we're going to put an offer in, I'll come back to you with an offer.
Yeah.
What do you think you do with the place? Well, I'm not quite sure. I don't even know what I'd pay for it, let alone if I even gave you an offer in the first place. So as soon as you get loose lips and tell them everything, that's where you start getting yourself into trouble.
Right. Well, do you think that there's certain types of properties that retirees should never buy? Is there some category that you would say stay away from?
I think anything that's like off the plans, that hasn't been built yet, that's speculative in terms of, hey, look, you can buy this, put your deposit down now. The apartment block's going to be built in 6 to 12 months to 18 to 24 months time, and it's worth $400,000 today. It's going to be worth $500,000 when it's built. You have a market correction in that time, and all of a sudden it's worth $350,000. So that happened
too. I have a commercial real estate thing that, been there, done that on that one too.
Yeah. So if you can physically touch it now and buy it now, good option. And as I say, the thing with the retirement side of things is like the cash flow becomes the important piece.
Yeah.
So when you've got a long runway, is that we want to be buying bigger blocks of land, that if we need to do some development and things like that on them, then that's, later on down the track, that's fine because we've got time. But the thing we don't want to do is to get into speculative investing when you haven't got to run, a long lead time to retirement, because, things take a long time to correct. If you're in the market for 20 years and you get something wrong at year one, by the time you look at it in 20 years' time, it's not quite so bad.
Right.
But if you've got a run rate of 4 years, and say like for New Zealand, like I bought a house in 2021, the 10th of November 2021, the market declined on the 11th of November 2021. But it's okay because we had a strategy, and the house is now worth more than what it was. But the thing with that though is if we didn't have the strategy, we just aimlessly bought at the day before the market turned, and 5 years later we hadn't done anything to it, we're potentially sitting at the same value, if not less, than what we purchased it for, with a whole lot of maintenance issues. So that's the key thing. You've got to purchase with a strategy, but as you get older, the lower maintenance, the newer properties that you can get, so you're left with less headaches, and the growth isn't such a thing to push for. It's more so the cash flow that becomes more important.
Right. Well, when people are getting into contracts, do you think there's red flags? Is there things that people should be looking for that some people might miss that are red flags?
I think getting properties checked out with building inspections and things like that, and your council files and your council records are extremely important. There's people like for us that miss out. I've had a client last week that we spent $4,000 on due diligence for a property, and then she wasn't a happy lady at the end when we found that the roof, there were some major issues there, and there were some waterproofing issues, and which was like a $200,000 problem to fix. But the focus was like, well, we've spent $4,000 on this. This is ridiculous. So how do we reduce that cost next time? Because we can't just keep spending $4,000 a pop. And it's like, I get that and I understand that. But if we'd just gone and bought the property, you haven't got $200,000 to go and rectify this problem. So we were better to spend the $4,000 on due diligence up front to find the $200,000 problem than if I just said to her, look, go and buy it. She bought it. Then she would have been a lot more angry with me, finding that there was, 200 grand's worth of problems later on down the track for skipping a simple step.
Well, so now we're all freaked out because those are a lot of mistakes that people could make. What what kind of, so walk me through what kind of service someone like you gives to somebody. What does the client actually have you do?
Yeah, so in terms of the majority of our clients get us to go through the whole process for them. So we sit down with them at the start, find out strategically, where they're at in terms of financial situation, what it is that they're looking to achieve, and then we come up with a strategy around that. What types of property are we buying? What are we buying hold? Are we chasing cash flow? Are we chasing equity? What does that look like? Then we work out the areas that are going to suit that strategy, and then property being the last thing that people go and look at, or that we go and look at. Generally, it tends to be everyone goes and looks at houses and hopes everything else fits in along the way. And then so once we've got that and we start to go out to the market, we source the properties for them, take care of all the agent communication, negotiation side of things, organize the due diligence, go through that with them. If there's any red flags there, we point them out, we point them in the right direction. We're always the first people to say, hey, look, this doesn't work. We're better to start the process again than to go through with this and end up with a headache. And then what we then do is if there's renovations, we help them out on the renovation side of things. And then also on the property management, we've got a property management company as well. So for us, it's everything from start to finish. Clients' jobs to say, yep, we like it, or no, we don't. And no's fine, just as long as we know why.
So are you acting as the buyer's real estate agent?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Okay. But you're like the whole process. It's not just the real estate agent buying the property, then helping with renovation. I mean, that's fantastic to have somebody that can take care of all the things that need to be done.
Yeah, well, we started out just on the buying side of things. So we're fee for service, and our clients pay us. So we've got their best interest at heart, as opposed to a vendor, paying an agent. And so it started out just with the buying side of things. Then we had a client that said to us, "Hey, look, you've done a good job for me getting me from where I was to where I am now. I've got a number of properties. If you start managing them, if you want to start up a property management company, I'll give you 15 to start with." And then you can grow from there. So I came home, told my wife that that's what we were doing, and she was a little bit unhappy about the situation.
Yeah,
Like, well, how are we going to do it?
Go for it.
Yeah. Well, I was like that, and then the same guy about 4 months later was like, "Hey, look, if you guys can manage my projects for me as well, then I'll jump on board with that." So that's how that started. But I mean, hindsight being the great thing. Is like the one path to a successful thing should have been the path that I went down. But we probably went too wide too early. We're okay now and things are good, but too wide too early, having to employ people that were highly specialized people with low revenue, just meant that our main business that was doing well was supporting the others as they went through. Or as they grew, as opposed to them paying for themselves organically off the mark. So some lessons learned from the business side of things as well.
Well, that's good. So can you tell what a good property's going to look like on paper before you ever go take a look at it?
Yeah, 100%. I think we've been doing it now for just on 20 years. So you get a bit of a gut feeling and a bit of intuition over that time as to what's going to be good. But I think now with like very different story back in 2005, 2006 when the internet wasn't there, or to the same degree as what it is now. And to go and find out and investigate properties, you more or less had to go to the town or the city to go and look at them physically and walk through them and get an idea, as opposed to now with council maps. With the research you can do on properties online, obviously the photos and the video walkthroughs, it gives you a pretty good sense of where things are. And like I said before, that doesn't eliminate the due diligence around the building inspections and things like that, but it just helps to go, hey, look, this could be a good one. Let's investigate this some more. Or, hey, based on flood mapping and socioeconomic area, this isn't good. Let's move on to the next.
Well, it seems like this should be able to help you, kind of evaluate in a smart way so that you're not buying a money pit.
Yeah, yeah. You've just got to use all the tools available to you to eliminate that. And I think it's getting easier to do that due diligence and easier to look into all these things, especially with AI. That definitely helps as well around finding out information, cross-checking information. You obviously want to verify all of that yourself, but in terms of the stuff that it would have taken you hours to sift through, the AI definitely makes it a lot easier today.
I know that back in the day, in my different real estate ventures that I've had in my life, sometimes there was a lot of spin around doing it yourself and not having an agent.
Yeah.
And so why would you say the smart investor would go, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to have my buyer's agent. Why are they, what are the things that make it really worthwhile to have that agent, that you're side by side with?
Yeah, I think we'll go back to the court lawyer analogy, and you look at how well people do when they self-represent, and they don't tend to self-represent anywhere near as well as what they do with a lawyer.
Right.
So, like from a negotiation standpoint, someone comes to you and you're talking with an agent through me, and they say, what did you buy? Think about this, and you know exactly what they're thinking, but you've got a bit of theatre and you've got a bit of there to play your client off against what's actually going on. Whereas you go, I don't really know about that. We're just going to have to think about it. And well, I'll see what I can do. But when you're the face of that, and you're trying to like you and I are having a conversation now, and I'm trying to tell you that I'm not quite sure because my wife might not agree with it. It doesn't quite wash the same as what it does with someone independent. The other thing is too, like we're in the market all day, every day. So we know exactly what's going on. We know who the people are to deal with. We know who the people are to stay away from. We've got, inside information that other people don't get. I was talking to a lady yesterday who said to me, I've been asking all the agents for where all the off-market deals are, and they just tell me they don't exist. And I said to her, I was like, well, they won't exist for you because you've got no track record with these people. And they just want to send you to market so that you can compete with everyone else. They don't want to help you out and get you over the line. So there's deals that people never see the light of day because they come to us first before they go anywhere else. And that also too, because of the length of time we've been doing this, there's no emotional attachment in this for me. It's another house. And people are like, oh, we'll pay this much. I was like, well, no, we won't. There'll be another deal that'll come up next week. And I think that's the thing is people get, there's the fear of missing out that kicks in. They overpay for a place. Then in 12 months time, they go, oh, I paid $100,000 too much for this. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, do you think there's universal principles that so because, I'm in the United States, you're in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Is there some principles that might apply no matter what country you're in?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the guy that I took my real estate course from, he was from Nebraska. So he's from Nebraska, and then he comes down to New Zealand to teach us about real estate. And we had the same. So
his trip is a business write-off.
Yeah, well, there's that too, right? So, he came down to New Zealand to teach us about real estate. But it's the principles are the same. Like buy undervalue, force some appreciation, depending on where you are. Cash flow is going to be king, or you're going to need some equity. Buy in suburbs that are above the bottom 20% and below the 50% median of the suburb or the area, so that you're going to get some growth. And it's like it's the basic stuff like that. That's regardless of whether you're in New Zealand or whether you're in the States or Europe. If you can sit and you can hit, find out strategically what you're looking to do, then find the areas that suit that strategy, and then look at property as the last thing, you'll have yourself right. As opposed to, like I say, people will just stop looking at houses because that tends to be the first thing that people do, and then hope that the rest falls into place.
Right. I mean, you're basically talking about a system and a process.
Yeah. I think everything's I was very anti-system and didn't quite understand it for a long time. But as we're sort of growing, that's become something that I've had to become, more acquainted with. But basically, everything's a system or a process, and as soon as you don't have one, things go sideways for you, and things get a lot harder than what they should be.
Well, Hadley, I want to do a little bit more of on a personal note too.
Yeah, no problem.
You're a young dad, right?
Yeah.
So
correct.
tell me about your family.
Yeah, so I've got an 8-year-old daughter. So she's just turned 8. And then I've got, and then that was with my former partner. I've got my now wife. We've been married for a couple of years now. And I've also got how old's he now? He's an 8-month-old. So we've got an 8-month-old son as well, which is keeping us on our toes, plus our dog. So that between the 4 of them keeps us occupied. And then, as I say, I live between 2 cities in New Zealand. The week that my daughter's with her mum, we live in Auckland, and then the weeks that I've got my daughter, I move back to another city for a week to spend time with her. And so a little bit of single parenting in both houses, but we're making it work.
How, so a lot of times, I remember probably when I was about your age and I'm bumbling around trying all these different things, that I wanted time freedom.
Yeah.
I wanted to be in charge of my time. How do you think building this business has shaped how you think about legacy and time freedom and being able to be with those kids and with your wife?
It's still tricky and it's still challenging. I definitely haven't got it locked in. It's definitely helped that we're at the revenue that we are now, and that we've got a team that I don't have to be on the, people are dependent on me, but they're not dependent on me for the delivery. Right. So I spend most of my time now talking with team, dealing with strategically, what are we going to do? How are we going to go about things? Onboarding new clients. That's predominantly where I spend most of my time, as opposed to the delivery side of things. So if something comes up, like yesterday, for example, my daughter has gymnastics at 4:00 on a Wednesday. So it's like, right, cool. I'll just cross my calendar out from 4 till 5.
It's important to be there, Dad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's the question she asks me every Wednesday that she's with me. You're coming this afternoon, right? I'm like, yeah. So, it's just about being able to cross those times out. It's like my son's swimming. He's 8 months old, but it's cute to go and watch. So it's good to be able to have those options, just to go, hey, look, it's time blocked out for me to go and watch him. Not that he'll ever remember it, but it's it's an important thing for me to be able to go and do.
Well, one of the things that I know that I've seen as a complaint is people say, oh, this just becomes a second job. They want the financial upside of the property, but they don't want it to become a second job, which they really shouldn't. What's your advice around that?
Get a good property manager.
Yeah.
That's even for my properties. I've got one not far from here, but our company manages it. I've seen the tenant from a distance, but I've never met her. Because the other thing that happens with that house there, I managed myself for 3 or 4 years. Tenant was a lovely lady. She was paying well below market rent, and then she'd missed some rent. At one stage, she didn't pay for 2 or 3 weeks. I'm like, she's a struggling mum. I then found out that she had 4 teenage kids that were 17, 18, 19 living there that weren't working. And so I look back now and just go, all I was doing, and I just wipe her the week or 2 weeks rent off because I felt sorry for her. But the problem is I was enabling the situation because her kids who weren't working and were there, and they all had no money. As soon as I gave them notice to leave, they all had enough money to fly to Australia. So they weren't helping their mum out there. She was behind on rent and her other bills, but they had enough money to leave the country when they were forced to move out of the house. So good property manager, get them on top of it, and then you're not emotionally attached to it. Yes, there's a cost to it, but for 20, 30, 40 bucks a week, you're not going to get someone that's on call 24 hours a day to do your accounting, to fix your maintenance issues. to deal with the tenant headaches and getting them out if you need to get them evicted. So it's cheap in the scheme of things.
Yeah. Well, what's the one thing you wish every person knew before they ever buy an investment property? Where should they start?
I said buy something that's boring. Boring makes you money. Sexy is expensive, and it tends to be the same with most things in life. If you go for the sexiest thing you can possibly find, they tend to be the most expensive thing.
Yeah.
So boring's where you make your money. You tend to have less issues. They tend to be less expensive, less maintenance, less speculative, and just go. And if you're just starting, go out and talk to some people that have been in the game for a while. Go and talk to some people that are on your side, who are in the game day in, day out. Go and talk to a broker to get some feedback on what you can do. Because I think that's the other thing is that people just go and talk to one bank and the bank says no, so they give up hope, as opposed to going and talking to a broker that can give you a few different options. And see where you can go, because that was like a belief I had earlier on in the piece was, well, my parents said, I just broke people go to brokers because they can't get lending in a bank. And then I since learned that brokers were extremely handy people to have on your side to get you finance when when someone's either said no to you or things are tight or you need some different options. So the broker being a really good first step, and then who else they've got that they can introduce you to.
Well, do you work just with New Zealand clients, or do you have any international clients?
Yeah, about 50% of our clients are international. So people that are looking to buy in New Zealand, we've got a number of expats that put their money back here from the Middle East, from Asia.
So here's the tie-in between the United States.
Yeah, and we also deal with some people from the States as well, back into here too. So there's options there, and then we're also looking into potentially some property management stuff in the States as well in the next couple of years.
Well, how would someone who wants to learn more about you find you?
Best place is on Instagram at Hadley Nightingale, or our website, which is newzealandpropertybuyers.com.
And the other thing that I'll just remind everyone, on my website, I always have a little profile about the guest. And so you'll be able to find information about Hadley there on my website, where I have all that information about guests. So, wow, our time is gone, Hadley.
Disappeared.
So I think what we want to say is, before you sign anything, ask some good questions and make sure you're starting with that system and that process, right?
Yeah, 100%. Ask some good questions, get some advice. Even if the advice costs you a bit of money, you're better to get you're better to pay for that early and find out that things aren't right, rather than pay a lot of money and go, oh, if only I'd spent $500 or $1,000 to figure that out earlier, right, I would have saved myself a whole lot of heartache and time.
Well, and I just want to remind everyone to subscribe, leave a review, do all those kinds of good things. Share this with somebody who's approaching retirement thinking and thinking about real estate, right? So any final thoughts, Hadley?
I think that the main thing is, as I say, go and talk to some people, ask some good questions, and just remember who's on your side and who's not, and who's there to sell you some stuff. I think is the key piece. And everyone's going to have an opinion about real estate, but you need to go and find the opinions that are the right ones that are going to help you.
Well, with that, I want to thank you for joining me today. This has been enlightening, and I hope that it's been something that really gives people some things to think about. So
yeah, me too. Thank you.
And yeah, so with that, we'll just say thank you so much for joining the Ask Good Questions podcast, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Today's episode is over, but we did ask good questions again, didn't we? Don't miss out as we broadcast live every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on W4CY Radio at W4CY.com. Join Benita Bell Anderson next week for more conversations with experts on finances, retirement, behavioral finance issues, health and wellness, and more. Until then, remember to ask good questions.